How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a recap of the fifth Democratic debate of the 2020 presidential cycle, hosted by MSNBC and Washington Post in Atlanta, Georgia at Tyler Perry Studios. Now, this debate, quite frankly, before we even get into it, was kind of a snooze fest. I mean, if you're having problems sleeping, you're just tossing and turning at night, put this debate on your cell phone device. Just put it on your nightstand, glance over at it while you're in the bed, and before you know it, it'll be 6 a.m. But I digress. Let's get into the actual debate, what happened, what didn't happen, and a few more things. Let's start first with those that were there in order of time allotted speaking-wise. You have Pocahontas, a.k.a. Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar for some reason, Cory Booker, Tulsi Gabbard, Tom Steyer for some reason, and lastly, Andrew Yang. Now, let's start with Andrew Yang. He did okay here. I was kind of thrown off by his appearance. You know, like, I'm not saying you got to always wear a tie, but I think if you're on stage, you're at a debate, put on a tie. He does not have the look that would make a no tie suit make any sense. So I was kind of thrown off by that. But aside from superficial things like that, he was basically saying the same old thing, you know, the freedom dividend, I'll give you X amount of dollars per month, as if that's going to somehow fix problems with education and poverty. I don't really understand that whole point. You know, like, more government to try and help with the problem of education is not going to work out, because K through 12 is already bad and that's government funded. But I'll move on. He didn't really say a whole lot here, and he did not have a lot of time to say it. Of course, he complained about that, and I think Tulsi Gabbard defended him. Speaking of Tulsi Gabbard, she did okay here. Some may say that she won the debate. I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell because, again, this debate was kind of a snooze fest. I almost fell asleep right live on stream with my head in my hand. Like, I could have just sat right here and went straight to sleep. You wouldn't have known about it because it was really that kind of boring at times. There were a few exciting moments, funny moments, but for the most part, it was nothing. She complained or defended Andrew Yang not having much talking time. While she spoke, it was kind of the same old thing. I'm against foreign intervention. I'm against foreign war. Although she was upset at Donald Trump for pulling troops out of northern Syria, but I digress. That was her whole shtick. Remember the last time she obliterated Kamala Harris, there was a little cat fight there, and that was an exciting moment. I wanted to chant, Jerry, 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 because it was a nice little cat fight between the two of them. I think Kamala Harris, speaking about her right quick to pivot, I think she was prepared to fight back against what Tulsi Gabbard did to her and said about her the last time. You know, she had some prepared statements. She didn't quite execute them, you know, the right way. I feel like she was in the mirror for a few days before the debate just practicing. It's like, you can do it, Kamala. I believe in you. You're a strong black woman. And speaking about strong black women, she rode that whole horse really hard. Kamala Harris, that is. You know, I'm the only black, you know, woman on here, and, you know, black women this and black women that. I'm not buying it, okay? Now, I'm not Albert Einstein. I don't have a 300 IQ, but I can do a little bit of basic math. I know that if your mother is a red dye Indian, don't get offended by that. I'm just saying, not American Indian. Over there, Indian subcontinent Indian, 100%, and your father is at best 50-50 black and white mixed. When you add those two together, you don't get a black person. You get at max a 25% black person and a 75% red dye Indian person. When she was introduced into the Senate by Joe Biden, I think in 2017, she was introduced as an Indian American, not a black American. I think she just switches up the ethnicity whenever it benefits her. Being an Indian American right now in this presidential election cycle does not help her. Clinging on to the 25% at best black she has apparently does help, but I digress. She was writing this whole thing about being a black woman, all this, that, and that pretty hard. And I think Cory Booker also was trying to do that, but I'm not really buying their experiences. Yes, Cory Booker is black, but he was like, oh, my family was victim of discrimination. We had to get into a house a certain way. Well, I'm not really feeling that bad for you, sir. I mean, both of your parents were IBM executives. You grew up literally with a silver spoon in your mouth. So I'm not really trying to hear about discrimination and woe is me. Surely your parents could have got a house somewhere with that kind of money they had. Okay, I'm not really trying to hear this whole, we were discriminated against and we were oppressed thing. You did not grow up oppressed. You were just fine with two very rich and powerful parents. It is what it is. Okay, now, speaking about the black community and black issues, that's a good segue into Pete Buttigieg. There was a little bit of kickback against him as far as being able to relate to the black community. It's kind of not even necessary, really, because he's not polling very high, but maybe they're attacking him because in Iowa, he's polling high, from what I've been able to read. So they're just trying to say the obvious, which is not connected to the black voter. A lot of black folks are not into the LGBTQ thing. It is what it is. It's a lot of black folks that are in that, but a lot of black folks are verbally against it. Whether they really mean that or not is a different story. But again, I digress. We're just not really feeling this whole married to a man thing generally in the black community. Me personally, I don't care. Knock yourself out. Do what you want to do. But a lot of us are not really with that. And then beyond that, he's too young. People don't know who he is. It's just not a person that you can really connect with or that and this whole thing about being gay and married just might be a little bit too much for the average normie to even really get at all. Not even the thing about bigotry. It's just a matter of I don't really connect to you and what you're talking about. He didn't really say much here. He was talking about how he's a veteran and how he's gay and married. But beyond that, there's no real memorable moments from Pete Buttigieg. Now, moving right along to Bernie Sanders, I don't believe that he should be on the stage, quite frankly, because he's 78 years old, just had a heart attack. So it's like, what are we doing? Let that man go home and just hang out with his family. Why does he have to be on a debate stage? But he did the same old thing, cussing and fussing, loud, the same old Bernie that we always know. It was funny. I was watching, I think it was the pre-show where he was like playing basketball, not literally playing basketball, but just kind of like shooting a little bit of hoops into like an 8-foot hoop. So, I was like, man, what are you doing? Like, why you got to play basketball? Is that part of the campaign strategy? Play a little basketball and that might work out. So I wasn't really feeling that too tough. But beyond that, not anything really memorable. Just talking about, taking money and taxes. Oh, that was the main thing that I heard all throughout the quote unquote debate here was raising taxes, tax this, tax that, tax. That's how you're going to raise revenue. Like, there's not enough revenue in the federal government right now. The government wastes money. I mean, the problem is not with too little money coming into the government. The problem is with too much going out from the government, too much wasteful expenditures that don't generate money. It's one thing to spend money that will generate revenue in different ways or that will help generate revenue in private business, but it's something else to just spend money wastefully for no real reason. And that's a lot of that's going on in the government right now. Okay, I think the issue of quote unquote voter suppression came up, and they're talking about gerrymandering and voter ID being racist. It's like, well, what they don't want to say is that quote unquote gerrymandering happens the other way as well, where districts are drawn to favor the Democrats. Okay, and if you don't have voter ID, that leaves room for the Democrats to go in there and meddle with the election. Speaking of election meddling, the whole idea of Russia was brought up, but not as much as it has been before. In previous debates, Russia was like the centerpiece. But in this debate, it wasn't really there. I mean, Andrew Yang made a little comment about if he were to become president on his first call with Vladimir Putin, he would say, I'm sorry I beat your guy, speaking about Donald Trump. But aside from that, it wasn't a whole lot of Russia this, Russia that going on. Maybe they got the message that many of us are kind of tired of that. Try something else. The idea of climate change was introduced, and they were just throwing a big fit about that, really fear-mongering real hard. Tom Steyer, that was his whole thing, saying, I'm the preeminent force on climate change, here, this, that, and the third. It was funny when I was streaming this live, and thank you to everybody that watched the live stream. If you want to see that full live stream, I'll link to that in the box. But it was funny. Every time Tom Steyer came on screen, people were like, who is that? Who that? Who that man? Nobody really knows who that guy is. I have no idea how he got to the debate stage, aside from the fact that he's a billionaire and probably was able to buy his way onto television. I don't see another reason why he'd be there. Nobody knows who this guy is at all, okay? And his only thing was talking about climate change. Aside from that, I have no recollection of him. Pocahontas got the most talking time, but she was, in my humble opinion, one of the least memorable. Okay, now she probably is still the front runner, but I don't think she helped or hurt her case. She's just kind of coasting and just saying a lot of the same old things she's been saying. I don't remember anything she said at all. I barely remember her being able to talk. Remember, I was watching it. I felt like Joe Biden was getting a whole lot of time, as well as who else? Maybe Pete Buttigieg and Tulsi Gabbard, but not so much with Pocahontas. It was really weird. Speaking about Joe Biden, he looked the same as always, just confused, lost, not really sure what to say from moment to moment. It's like he's trying to do well and he's trying to come across as high energy, but it's just not really working at all. He needs to go ahead and stop. I understand he's probably like leading among black voters, which he is, and he may be the darling favorite of the donors. But at a certain point, you got to look at this man and see what's happening to him. He is not the same Joe Biden as he was before. He has most certainly diminished mentally. Look at what he's saying right now on stage. People say, oh, Joe Biden's always been the gaffe machine. But look at what he's saying right now on stage and compare it to what he was saying years ago. And just look at the way that he's saying it, the way that it's coming out. It is not the same. He's not the same guy. Okay, so he needs to go ahead and stop. He looked terrible on a debate stage, forgetting stuff, and he just looked really bad. Cory Booker didn't really do himself any favors here. Again, he was trying to come off like, black this, black that, whoop-de-whoop. At the end, he gave a closing statement, and he began his closing statement with, please help. I'm like, wow, please help. Is that a thing that's going to let me know that you are a strong person and can lead from the front and be a true face of the country? I don't think so. You don't look like you know what's really going on here, sir. So I did not have a whole lot of confidence in my man Cory Booker. And was that everybody? I talked about Andrew Yang. Oh, Amy Klobuchar, she was there. I heard her speak and I was trying to listen, but she was very distracting because she kept shaking. Now, people in the chat were like, that's Adderall. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like she always is shaking. I don't know what's happening. Is that some kind of physical condition that she's always had? Is it a thing with medication? I think she owes us an explanation as to what's happening with that shaking. I mean, visible shaking, like she had a little bang right here that kept going like that. It was like, okay, I need you to tell us what's going on just so I know. Because it could be just something that she's always had, a physical tick or something. Okay, if that's what it is, let us know. But don't just leave me in a lurch. I got to figure it out. You on cocaine. What's going on? I don't know, but I digress. The shaking was just really distracting, so I don't remember anything she said, being 1,000% honest. So at the end of the day, as I close, this debate didn't really do much to push anybody out in the front. I think it lets us know where everybody is yet again. And if anybody had a bad performance, I don't think they were able to overcome that. And I got to add one last thing here. There was an all-female panel of moderators, but it didn't do too bad. You had Rachel Maddow, Kristen Welker, and two other people. I don't know who their names are. But they did not do a bad job. They asked some decent questions. They were asking things like, if you were to be the president, would you negotiate with the Taliban to end the foreign war over there or to end America's intervention into that country? It was some decent questions that were being asked. Trump was brought up, but not as much as before. I feel like the moderators tried to do a little bit better, but ultimately we got a lot of the same old things because the people on stage are going to just say what they're going to say, regardless of what the question is. At the end of the day, as I close, not a whole lot going on. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it. And what say you? Do you think that this debate was a good one? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or was it not a good debate? What could have been done differently that was not done in this debate? What do you want to see the next time? If you ask me, what I want to see next time is less people on stage. 10 people on stage, everybody saying the same thing. Cut it down to 5 people, and then have tougher questions. Matter of fact, have one of these debates on Fox News rather than NBC, CNN, CBS. Have one on quote unquote non-friendly platform so we can get some real questions going on. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.